Buckle up, everybody, because today we are diving headfirst into a political story that's, well, it's got it all,
Yeah.
We're talking big money, campaign drama, even a little bit of controversy thrown in for good measure.
Yeah, and what I find really interesting about this whole thing is that it might be like a bit of a window into how this whole election cycle is going to play out.
Right, like, is this a sign of things to come? Okay, so let's set the scene. September 29th, Trump Tower. We're at a private fundraiser for, you guessed it, Donald Trump's 2024 campaign. And the guest list.
Oh, just your everyday billionaires, Paul Singer, Betsy DeVos, the Ricketts family, just your average Tuesday night.
Well, and I think it's really important to remember what was going on right before this fundraiser, right? Kamala Harris, she just had this huge event in L.A., raked in a cool $28 million.
$28 million.
Yeah. And not only that, but there were reports saying she was cleaning up fundraising-wise. Like in the past 3 months, she'd raised more than Trump had in the past year. See, now that's interesting, man, because anyone who follows politics knows campaigns need cash, right? Like, you need money to run. But this feels different.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't just about the money itself. It's about what the money represents. It's momentum. It's public support. It basically tells you which way the wind's blowing. And for someone like Trump, who, let's face it, is all about winning, seeing your opponent pull in that kind of cash, well, let's just say it's got to sting a little bit,
And sting it did, because if the reports are accurate, Trump was, let's just say, a little less than thrilled with Harris's success. In fact, the New York Times is reporting that at this very fancy, very expensive fundraiser, Trump, let's just use some colorful language to describe the vice president.
Yeah, and we don't need to repeat the actual word here, but I think it's important to acknowledge why this is so significant. It's a word with a lot of baggage, a lot of really painful history behind it. And for it to come from someone who wants to be the leader of the free world, that's...
It's something that should give everyone pause.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's even more stark when you look at what both candidates are doing, right? I mean, Harris is on the campaign trail. She's raising a ton of money. She's connecting with voters. And meanwhile, the Trump campaign seems to be downplaying the whole money thing altogether.
Oh, totally. And they're not being exactly subtle about it either. The Times article actually quotes Trump's spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, and she basically says, look, if money was all it took to win, Hillary Clinton would sail to victory in 2016.
Which, on the one hand, yeah, she's not wrong. There are plenty of elections where the candidate with less money ends up winning.
Exactly. It's not a perfect system.
But on the other hand, it makes you wonder if this is like a genuine strategy or just a way to deflect from the fact that they're maybe not doing as well as they want on the fundraising front.
Totally. Like, are they actually confident that money won't be a deciding factor this time around? Or is this just a way to spin things in a more positive light? Because, let's be real, in politics, perception is often reality.
It's all about the optics. So where does this leave the Trump campaign going forward? What does this whole incident tell us?
Well, it's still early days, right? But it definitely raises some big questions. Will this whole thing fire up Trump's base? Maybe. But will it alienate moderate voters? Possibly. And will it force the campaign to rethink its approach to fundraising? I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think the bigger takeaway here is this incident shines a light on some of the potential weaknesses and maybe even some internal tensions within the Trump camp. It'll be really interesting to see how they adapt and move forward from here.
Absolutely. And here's a thought to chew on. Think about how this whole thing might influence how voters see both Trump and Harris. Does it solidify their existing opinions? Or does it maybe cause some people to see them in a new light? I mean, that's the thing about politics, right? It's always changing, it's unpredictable, and it's definitely never, ever boring.